SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com. Since the dawn of civilization, the elusive quest in pursuit of the perfect drink continues to evolve. Now more than ever, we reap the rewards of this passion. The perfect vintage, the finest brew, or a spirit of optimum age and class. And now, SoFloRadio.com invites you to discover the wonderful world of booze by the glass.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to By the Glass. I'm your host, Brett Hubbard, and I welcome you to explore the wonderful world of wine, beer, spirits, and everything in between. Tonight we have some incredible show for you going on. Actually, my guest host, Jason, is not here. He could not make it tonight. But we have a full studio of a really interesting and invigorating guests, because I say invigorating because all these wonderful spices that are filling the room. Tonight we have Tom Seifert's Mamma Mia Pizza Beer. Yes, I said that right. It is pizza beer. It's an actual beverage that emulates pizza. Brought to you by my good friend and confidant, Cesar Vasquez. Welcome to the show, Cesar.
How you doing today, Brett?
How you been, buddy?
All right, just out there slinging beer. You know how
Just slinging it. He's a slinger. He slings it. Yeah, you know, he's been on the show quite a few times. He always brings us some fine and amazing different beverages, and we always love to have him. And then we brought in a culinary specialist tonight and confidant of Ed Roberts, Holly Blankley. How you doing?
Hi.
Blank knee, right?
Yeah, you got. I was actually just
Like
about
wounded
to correct
knee,
you.
broken foot, blank knee, right?
Yeah.
I say broken foot because she's got her leg in a cast.
I sure do.
Awesome. And she went as far as to make all these wonderful dishes tonight, correct?
I did.
Now-
I followed the directions. I am actually not a.
Well, in this day and
cook,
age, you know, if you can read, it's a good thing. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about some of these foods that you made to go along with this amazing pizza beer, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. Well, the first one was very challenging. It is a dip.
Oh, a dip. Wow. George can relate.
I actually
What did
had
you call
to
me?
mix Greek yogurt with the packet
Oh, okay.
that was provided, and
Okay.
that was probably the most difficult of them all.
So that's an interesting aspect of tonight's show is
Yeah.
that we don't only just have the product pizza beer, but we also have a lot of these different packages that go along with this.
There is.
We have the ranch dip and dressing mix. What else we got here, Caesar?
Style,
Greek style, okay.
yeah, Greek style tasting
For
pasta.
this one is for burgers, beer
Oh.
burgers.
okay.
Wow, that's interesting. So you can actually mix this
Beer
into
tacos?
the.
Yeah,
into
I
the meat.
made I made beer tacos. I was nice. I'm a vegetarian, but I made you guys some beef
Some
tacos.
beef tacos.
Very
Fantastic.
no,
However-
vegetarian. I would have eaten the.
Well,
the
guess
veggie
what I
tacos,
did?
too.
I made black bean tacos for
Yeah,
us.
that'll
So
work.
same
That
way.
sounds yummy.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
So those will be delicious.
That's good to know.
What else did I make? Oh, there was a pasta
Okay.
sauce, so I prepared that.
All right.
And
This one.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that was
They can't,
it
I'm saying
right
this one,
there.
but they can't see it.
Yeah,
so we're on the
a
video.
lot of really great different products that come out of this company. Basically, Tom Seifert's Mamma Mia Pizza Beer was born on Labor Day 2006 from Tom and Athena Seifert in their home brewery down up in Campton Township, Illinois. And I believe that it's been spreading throughout the country ever since. It says here that they've been doing demos on Fridays and Saturday nights for about 5 or 6 years out there, pushing their product, and they've gotten some people behind them. I do believe they're going to be calling into the show to talk a little bit about some of the interesting and amazing adventures that they've had while pushing their beer in the upper upper middle part of this country. And they know quite a few people. They know some great brewers, and they know some people that are actually in the brewing business. And they put together this unbelievable product. Is it just coming into Florida now, or?
Yeah, it's just coming to Florida now. It's been in the market for maybe 5 days. It landed in stores last Thursday. So actually a week as of today. We're doing pretty well. I was in a couple of my stores earlier and just checking out the case stacks, and it's been flying, which is pretty cool.
Have you actually met anyone who's tasted it?
I have not, except the only person I've met that's tasted it was myself and Ed Roberts.
Oh, you guys did taste it.
We tasted it together.
So
And,
I'm gonna. Okay, before I open it up, when we get to that, I mean, we don't have a lot of other products to taste tonight, which is very rare for us. We have food.
We have one extra product.
Oh, we
coming
do?
in. Remember the Kentucky IPA when we did the Kentucky
Yeah.
Bourbon Barrel and
Oh,
the
great.
spirits? we have some of that product coming
Great.
in with
I love
that
it.
too. So
You know what's interesting is that hops is a very spicy type of vegetable or whatever you want to call it, flour, that's used to spice beer. And I believe that they probably thought about the fact that hops works well with all different types of foods, and it also works in beer, and it could probably translate into other spices that are used in all types of foods, i.e. basil, oregano, garlic, that type of thing. So why not put it in beer? I was cooking the other day, probably about 2 months ago, and told my wife, I said, I'm going to make a beer, homebrew, because I homebrew quite avidly, and I'm going to add some basil into it so that when I cook with it, the basil's already in there, and then they'll both, the reduction will work together with the basil and the beer.
That sounds crazy.
And it
sounds insane.
And it's something
You
that I
think
can use
so?
to cook with. And I said I'm going to make it just for myself.
Right.
And then lo and behold, here comes pizza beer, and it wants dagnabbit spoiled again.
Somebody got to.
Somebody got
you
to
know
it soon.
Yeah.
when
they did.
when I first heard this was coming in, I was on the fence about it because I hadn't tried it, and I was just kind of like, I don't know what I'm gonna expect out of this beer. And then I started thinking of there was a collaboration. I don't know if you remember the name of the beer. It was with 3 different breweries. It was Victory, Stone, and Dogfish. It was like a
I've heard of, yes.
it had like thyme and rosemary.
Yes.
I just can't remember the name of the beer right now. But so in my mind,
all three different breweries made their own
yeah,
version.
it was a collaboration.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that when we were going to go taste this, and I was open mind, open palate to it, and I was very, very, very pleasantly surprised when I tasted it. So I think you will be too.
Great. No, brewing with different spices is nothing new to me. When I first started brewing about 3 or 4 years ago, the one thing I wanted to do was make a beer out of everything I could just find in Publix. So I went to Publix. I know it sounds funny, right? So thanks for laughing at me, Holly. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So I went to Publix and I bought Quaker Oats. The ones they had, they actually had ones with malted barley in it. It had wheat, and it had different oats in it, of course.
That'll give a nice creamy.
It was perfect. And then I bought the Malta, the stuff that the Latino guys drink in Miami.
Latins,
Malta.
as long as we're speaking English.
Excuse me?
We're Latins. Thank you.
Are you?
And we love our
We speak
Malta.
proper English, and we love Malta. Yes, we do.
And so I bought some Malta.
La Malta Atway es la mejor.
Hey, Way. Who are you calling Way? Anyway, so basically...
Atway.
Atway.
Not this way.
Which way? Which way to the Malta? So I went and bought some Malta, and I also bought some oats, and I bought some sage, because it was the only herb I could find that was close to hops. And you've tried sage before. It's kind of spicy and herbal, and a little bit has that really nice earthy.
Were you going to add hops to this beer eventually, or no? You're just doing it almost like a brew.
There's no hops in the grocery store.
Okay.
So it has to be Publix only.
Okay.
So I then bought some brewer's yeast, not brewer's, but baker's yeast, and a few other things, odds and ends and whatnot. Some sugar to add to it to increase. Oh, and honey and a little bit of molasses to increase the overall gravity. And I made a pretty decent beer, but the finish was sage, and I don't like sage. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty damn good beer. Now, interestingly enough, Garrett Oliver came out with one of his Brewmasters Reserves that year, in which it was a wheat wine called the Companion. I'm sure Ed's familiar with it. And it had sage in it. And a predominant aspect of the beer was sage. So I tasted that beer and I said, I just brewed a beer just like this. And of course, everybody at the brewery, Brooklyn Brewery, looked like I was crazy because it was like, wow. But I do know that spices in beer are not that unbelievable. And I think a lot of people like to use spices in beer, so this is certainly something that's not outlandish. But I got to tell you that when I heard about pizza beer, I thought it was a beer that you drink that's supposed to taste like pizza yet still be refreshing and so on and so forth. However, am I correct about that, or am I not?
Yes, actually, it was. Ed can even tell you also. It's very. Very
Welcome to the
refreshing.
show, Ed Roberts. How are you,
ladies and
sir?
gentlemen, by the way,
Thank you.
so-
Better late
Very
than
rarely we get an Ed Roberts appearance on the
Eddie.
show.
Only because Holly asked me to come.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
There we go. I mean, I'm gonna open one now, and you guys can pour it out. But
Yeah.
be your own.
Well,
Taste buds.
we'll
Let
open
the
it, but
taste
when's
buds
when are these
talk.
guys supposed to be calling in? So
6:15.
6:15. So let's pour a little bit. We can talk about it, but I also want to have some in front of me when these guys are calling in to discuss the. Right off the bat, the appearance is beautiful. Now, I do know that they say that something that I read in the notes, which I thought was very interesting, is that there's no the margarita pizza is put into the mash and steeped like a tea bag, so that means that there's no whole entity in this beer. That means you might think that with pizza beer that there might be a little bit of sediment
Very
rolling
clear,
around,
like you
correct?
said, yeah, very filtered.
But
There's
I-
a high
I-
amount of clarity for a beer when you hear those ingredients. You figure that it's going
Right.
to be
I'm not
hazy
gonna
or cloudy.
lie. I am a little nervous.
You're a little
I'm
nervous?
Still
In the
pretty,
nose, you get that basil and
I'm
oregano.
pretty new to
Right,
beer, so
Right.
the idea of drinking pizza beer is making me a little skittish. But
Well, we
I'll
had
go for it.
we had well, there was a homebrew contest up at the Little House up in Boynton Beach that I was judging, and one of the beers that was turned in was a pizza beer. The guy made the same exact thing. He must have gotten the idea from somebody else, and the beer was pretty good. I
It
couldn't
tastes
give it
just
high
like
marks
pizza.
because it was not stylistically. I just didn't think it didn't match up. There was a lot of flaws in the beer, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good beer. Everybody yelled at me like, "How could you not pick the pizza beer?"
This falls into the herb spice beer category, which would be the same as pumpkin or a lot of other beers.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, Ed might know. What was that collaboration beer between Stone Victory and Dogfish Head?
Saison du Buff.
Saison du Buff.
That's
There you
right,
go.
that's what it was.
That was my mentality when going into this beer.
All right, so give me some opinions. You guys have tried it before.
I mean, to me, George, I don't know. When you drink beer, you're probably not sniffing it and seeing what it smells like, right?
No.
I didn't think so. Even after being
not the
on this
beer
show.
anyway.
Not
But
beer
this,
either,
This
right.
is a beer that demands to be.
On this show, I know that there's a procedure and everything on this show. It's not just pop it and swig it. But and also I've gotten more used to hops since we started doing this show. I used to hop right away from them.
Yes.
Well, and someone, I don't know if it was you, someone asked me what the base beer style is, and to me, this might be a golden ale or something like that. The base beer doesn't interfere with the ingredients, and I mean, some people would, when they hear about this, would dismiss it as a novelty beer, and after Caesar and I tried it together, I mean, clearly this is a serious beer.
Could you think maybe the base is a Pilsner?
Yeah, it is Pilsner. It's Pilsner malt,
Right.
for sure. Yeah,
That's what I get off the nose, at least when I get the malt back.
Would you like to hear my opinion on this beer?
I
Absolutely.
would. I've been waiting.
Okay, I'm going to give you my opinion, my expert beer opinion. It tastes just like pizza. It's amazing.
You hit the nail on the head then.
It's actually very good.
Mamma mia, this pizza beer. I don't believe it. This stuff tastes just like pizza. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I think that they've got something here, and the fact that they have not inundated it with too much flavor, I would prefer a little Parmesan cheese on mine in the flavor. But,
Lace the rim with Parmesan cheese.
do they
something
make
like
a pepperoni pizza beer? It's tough. I must say, and because we got some vegetarians with us here today, that pizza beer contains no animal products. It's 100% vegetarian. It has no oils added. And which, if you add
Always
oil
a
to
plus.
beer, that's not a good thing. Oil and water do not mix, and they should not be added together. However, pizza has a ton of oil on it. But I really, when I get these guys on the phone, Tom's calling in, I want to talk to him about the process because it's a little bit of a confusing thing to read here. It says a whole wheat crust made with water, flour, and yeast is topped with tomato, oregano, basil, and garlic. And then the essence of the pizza spices is washed off with hot water and filtered into a brew pot. Now, does that mean that they make a pizza, wash it off with hot water into the brew pot? Is that what that sounds like when I'm reading
My
it?
understanding from hearing you read it, I think what they do is they take that pizza, they put it in a cheesecloth, and then they steep it in that hot water.
Now,
Like a
they
giant
take
tea bag?
a pizza that's been baked in the oven and steep it, or they take all the ingredients to
I
make
think I would
a
say
pizza?
baked. I'm gonna guess baked. I'm just
You
gonna go
say
with the
baked?
baked.
What do you think?
Really, that works.
I didn't even know you can do that. I'm in shock
I
right
took her
now.
I took her to her first beer festival this weekend, but next we're going to need to introduce her to the actual home brewing
I
process.
told
and so
you I
forth
Yeah.
and
was.
so forth.
Technically I was a beer virgin. So
Incoming call.
All right.
Is that it? Here
Is
we
this
go.
Mr. Tom Seaforth of Mamma Mia Pizza Beer?
Wait for me to answer it.
Nah, we're just gonna start talking ahead of you.
Tom Seaforth, welcome to By the Glass, sir. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. Definitely.
I called to help you solve that pizza question you just had.
Thank you very much. I need your help, please.
Giant pizza tea bag, right?
So tell me, is it cooked first, or do you just put all the ingredients in a bag, or how do you? This is an amazing secret, I know, but you got to let us in on it.
Well, what you're reading is when we made the homebrew version where we put it like in a hot bag. We baked the pizza,
You did. Okay.
and it's a really ugly pizza because you can't put cheese in there.
right.
And our vegan friend over there would have a fit if I did anyway, right?
hey, I said vegetarian.
She's vegetarian.
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
difference.
So,
okay. Okay.
I'm all about cheese.
I like the idea what you did with the beans too, because a lot of times we do was it beans borracho? Help me out here.
Drunk beans.
Borracho? I never heard of
Yeah,
borracho.
beans.
Okay.
Means drunk.
Drunken beans.
Beans
Right.
soaked
So
in a beer. Or
George
a
knows all
spirit
about
or-
being drunk.
anything
Yeah.
like that.
And beans.
And beans.
Drunken
Yeah,
beans.
you soak the beans overnight in the pizza beer,
Oh, cool.
Neat.
and then cook them the next day in some more pizza beer,
Wow.
Oh.
and then drink a pizza beer while you're eating your beans with a little bit of hot sauce on them.
That's perfect. You know
But
what?
anyway, going back to the whole wheat pizza thing.
Yeah.
That was more of a thing we just did for fun in the very beginning. We were, again, just like you were looking at Publix for different things, we were
Yeah.
looking at our garden.
Sure.
And the year before we made the initial pizza beer batch, we went in the backyard and cut every single herb that was back there. And sage, rosemary, you name it, it went into the beer. And in the herb spice category, it won high marks. But I had a neighbor of mine who was calling it pizza beer. So that same neighbor's husband happens to be my brew partner. I said, you know what? Next year when we do the harvest, let's throw some garlic in there. And it just so happens that we had all the pizza ingredients. We just decided to stick with pizza ingredients. And we made up a whole wheat pizza crust just for fun, tossed it into the mash. And then, lo and behold, when everything was settled, we had a beer that was really very interesting. And surprisingly, it tasted good. Again, going back to you're talking about making a basil beer to cook with. And initially, that's what this beer was going to be. It was just going to be a home brew. I mean, my wife and I have jobs. I'm a real estate broker, and she's a mortgage person.
Yeah.
Figured the bottom would never fall out of that job.
No, never.
Hey, and when this whole thing, this beer started scoring really high in amateur beer competitions, and again, we screwed up when we entered it in this one competition, and Randy Mosher, who's one of the major beer guys
Wow.
out there, especially in Chicago,
Sure, of course.
said, Seaforth, this must be your beer. You screwed up. I go, what? He goes, man, you should have put it at, you didn't list the base beer, which the base beer is an American ale
Oh, it is an ale. Okay.
with actually twice the amount of wheat that you would ordinarily throw in. And we used two-row.
I know. Two-row. Yeah, I could totally tell. It's a Pilsner malt there. Two-row pale. Yeah.
And then to get some of the bread, we use a little Munich and then, Carapils. So it's a real basic American ale style. The initial style that we made was a Saison. And we had used the Y yeast pack that doesn't ferment very good.
Yeah.
And that first batch, again, it was like, again, we went looked at all the ingredients that we had sitting on the counter and said, let's just throw it in a beer. I got this bag of yeast downstairs. It's about a year old. It's already puffed up. It's probably no good. I don't have a 6-gallon carboy. I just have a 5-gallon hanging around. Let's just do it. And about a week later, I went to rack it, and I was going to just repitch the yeast and make another pizza beer. And it only attenuated to about 10:30. So we were like, uh-oh,
Not good.
what are we going to do now? So we boiled some Belgian candy sugar, got some Red Star champagne yeast out, dumped everything back in the primary fermenter, and threw the sugar and the yeast in there, and man, it exploded.
Yeah, I
It
would
was
imagine.
It was like 9.9.
You know, they have
It
charts
had
for
no
that.
no fusel alcohols whatsoever. I mean, it was like super clean.
Wow.
And when we went to go into production, our buddy runs the what used to be the Huber Brewing Company, which is now called Minhas up in Monroe. And I said to him, what do you think about this? And he goes, you're nuts. He said, it's going to be way too expensive. And if you decide that you want to try to appeal to, the masses on this stuff and appeal to people that are bringing their kids to, a pizzeria and they want to have a beer with their pizza, it's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
we dummied it down a little bit and started fooling around with American ale yeast. Went out to Walter Payton's Roundhouse, made a pilot batch. Next thing you know, the news finds out about it. We're on CBS coast to coast.
Wow.
And front page of the Tribune. And then Mancow puts us on Fox and Friends. And it's almost like that Julia Childs thing going on, because here we are, two people that are pretty much broke. And we got this cool thing happening, and now we have to figure out how to make it really happen. So we went that whole first year, actually, shopping for a brewery to make this beer for us. And by the time everything was said and done, we had someone on the hook that was ready to make 500 barrels, sell it on consignment, let us pay them when we got paid, and everyone would be happy, right?
Yeah.
But no. Another major brewing company out of Boston contracted these guys to make their beer, and they had cash on hand, and we didn't. So, cash is king.
Sure.
So we went to our buddy up in Milwaukee, up at Sprecher, and said, hey, I got a recipe. Can you do this? And I said, yeah. I said, well, what do you think I should do with the spices? And he goes, well, Dad, I can't tell you. I can help you with the base recipe, but it's really up to you to figure out what to do with the spices. So my wife and I just kind of flipped a coin and used a calculator and gave it our best guess, and it worked.
Is that how you
And
guys
ever
got
since
into
then, we've been
spices here?
bootstrapping this company.
Is that how you got into all these other dips and spices and that type of thing, by working with spices?
That happened because we were having difficulty getting paid from beer distributors.
Oh,
And we had actually a company that said, yeah, we'll take 7 pallets of your beer. So we go ahead and, take the money that we made from the last batch of beer, made this batch of beer. And all of a sudden they go, I don't think we're quite ready for pizza beer yet. Thanks anyway. So all of a sudden we're like stiffed, and we had like no money anymore. So we had been going into some of the Whole Foods markets and using their kitchens and selling the beer, and we would make, beer bread and pizzas and stuff with our beer, and pizza beer prawns and the Frioli Borracho that I mentioned before, and we did a lot of stuff, cooking demos with it. And our customers said, hey, you're missing the boat. You should put your recipes into a bag and sell pizza kits and beer bread kits, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a light bulb goes off on our head, and I'm like nervous Nelly going, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? We have a house. And my wife keeps on going, stop being such a coward. Let's put out our hairnets, bag the stuff up, get it in the stores, and see if it sells. And if it does, then we'll find someone else to pack it for us. So we started bringing it to the demos with us, and it was just liquor stores now. We couldn't bring it into any of the big guys because Whole Foods wouldn't, they don't take homemade products.
Right, we would approve it.
Right, so we started getting, got the kids together and started packing these bags, and then we were twisting the tops of them up and using electrical tape to tape the tops of them shut, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the flour started making the electrical tape kind of unwind. So then we had to take little bows, and it was like near Christmas time. So it was perfect. We used red, green, all the Italian colors to make these little bows and tied them on the tops of those things, and they looked really good. And a local grocery chain picked it up, and next thing you know, my wife and I are shopping for a co-packaging company that's FDA approved who can make all this food stuff for us. And from there, it's blossomed. I mean, all that stuff you're seeing on the table there, that's all stuff that either customers or department managers have told us to make that we should have.
At this point, you have over 20 different food kits. Is that correct?
Yeah, about 25. About 25. The most popular right now is that beer taco mix.
Oh,
That's like on fire.
I made that
the
today.
spiel is,
Right.
third of a cup of beer, pack of our mixed pound of meat, put it in a pan, 5 minutes, you got dinner.
Jeez.
It's true.
And like you say, you can do the beans or you can do a mixture. I don't know if you saw the vegan recipes on there for using portobello mushrooms as your meat.
No.
And it's probably
you can
better
do
for you
that
than
too.
that talking glove that everybody always does for dinner.
What's that?
I said it's probably better for you than that talking glove that everybody else does for dinner. It's probably much healthier than the ingredients.
Yeah, it is. It's funny because if you look at the ranch dip, what does it say? You got the ranch dip handy?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% natural, no MSG, gluten free.
There you go.
What's the top say?
Nothing hidden. Nothing
You
hidden.
got it. I mean, now on that the hidden peoples, their first ingredient I think is either salt or MSG. It's salt, MSG, and the maltodextrin, and I know those are all really good for you.
Yeah, wow, that is good. Gluten free is very hot right now too.
Yeah, it's huge.
Most of your
Well,
stuff
and
is
that's the
gluten
thing
free.
with our stuff is that it's, with the exception of the pizza kits that I sent you, we have the gluten-free pizza and the gluten-free fry batter, but the fry batter actually is kind of like one of those products that go either way. When we stand in a store and sell the fry batter, we actually just use water and suggest people use beer so that way the gluten-free community can taste our product And people that can drink beer understand it's going to taste better when they throw a little bit of pizza beer in there, make the the fry batter with pizza beer or whatever they got on hand. And
Absolutely.
so they, some of our stuff is very universal. It goes both ways. I don't know if that sounded very good.
Yeah, George knows all about that.
Sounds great. About going both ways, yes, north and south.
So what do? You take your show on the road now? Now that you got a little bit, behind you, and you do tastings all over the place still, or how is it set up? You do conventions, food conventions. Do they let you into both beer and food conventions with this? Are you more multi-dynamic now, or?
Well, no. We're still just two people running the show.
Okay.
I mean, you got to remember when we started. I shouldn't say you better remember because you don't know. When we first made that first batch of beer, we were completely out of money. I mean, we had $10,000 on a credit card that our mother-in-law let us borrow, and we bought boxes and labels and paid for the first batch of beer. And from then, I mean, again, we were sailing along on St. Pete's Beach almost every summer for 3 to 4 weeks, and all of a sudden, I had to tell the kids, hey, you know what, the Suburban's being repoed, and if someone comes knocking at the door to serve papers, don't answer it. And
That's
we
not
actually
how they repo.
saved this house from foreclosure by having the pizza beer.
Awesome.
So how do you make
And so-
the jump to Florida? I mean, is that something that is it a long time coming? You built up to this, that type of thing. Are you fine? Are you guys basically the distributor is in both parts of the world? Is that how that works, or how does that
Well,
work?
we had a lot. Actually, we're not only selling in Florida, but we're selling in Korea and Hong Kong and Alberta, and getting ready to launch in Israel. But anyway,
I
let's
didn't
get
know.
to Florida.
Worldwide. Oh, fantastic. Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
To answer that
Yeah, 'cause
question
it-
about the distributor, I know it was Ed Roberts that actually reached out to
Right.
the family about the beer, so I'll let Ed talk about that for a second.
Yeah, okay.
We did the Sun Sentinel had done a story about a year ago about strange ingredients in beer, and they didn't interview Tom, but they mentioned his beer, and he saw it, and he called me since he saw me mentioned in it, and we talked about trying to get him to Florida, and he had been interested in coming here for a long time. And since then, I've been working with wholesalers and trying to find a way to get him down here. And this is the culmination of probably 12 to 18 months of this, which I'm very happy about. And Tom is as well, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. It's fantastic.
I mean, when we found out, like I said, you got to remember we're a million miles away from you. Well, not quite a million, but we're pretty far away.
That's an exaggeration.
And like I said, Ed and I we were talking quite a bit back and forth, and about getting this beer down there. It was a little frustrating because I had a list of probably about 100 people, from Florida on an email list because I don't know, it's weird. Just the concept. I don't know if it's just because it's my wife and I, and that appeals to the American public, of the fact that we're two people, came up with this crazy idea, went ahead and did it, and we're not looking back. That we're being embraced by a lot of people. And thankfully for like Cavalier and Ben, for bringing the beer down there, because he bought it on a wing and a prayer too. And majority of the way that we've been expanding is exactly like what Ed said. Like I get this thing that appeared in CNBC. They talked about how pizza beer saved our home from foreclosure, and then our local paper, the Chicago Sun-Times, did a follow-up from a couple years ago and included a few things, and boom, that thing hits the Huffington Post, and next thing you know, I got 8 guys in Korea begging for pizza beer.
Yeah, next thing you know, Obama will be talking about you can save your house from foreclosure.
Well, like I said, it's one of those things. It's a struggle because we're still, paying the bills, and I guess I could disclose my salary because everyone could look at. But the two of us made $21,000 last year. That's what we paid ourselves, enough to pay the mortgage, and that's okay because the way things are going this year is we're profitable, which.
A lot of thirsty people in Florida.
Yeah.
Thanks to the people in Florida. That's darn right.
And you got, other than sushi joints, more pizzerias than anywhere in the world down here. So I can definitely.
Have you ever had? What you need to try to do though is to pair that pizza beer with sushi, because we used to go down to the.
I'll run downstairs.
Huh?
No, we got lots of
some
food.
down there.
We got a sushi joint. We're in our hotel area, so there's sushi everywhere.
Man,
And,
get some sushi brought up and try it and taste it with the beer, because we really, it's the beer as a standalone is a lot of fun because it's for the novelty of it by itself, just that it has a resemblance to pizza. But something really cool happens when you pair it with food. And I know Ed's been seeing a lot of food pictures on Facebook lately because we made up some jalapenos, and we just chopped the jalapenos in half, core the seeds out in the membrane, and stuff it with cream cheese. We put a little bit of prosciutto on the top of it, and baked them in the oven until they were done. Took them out, and then put a little bit of lemon basil on top of them, and paired that with the beer, and it was just amazing. I mean, it's weird what food does for that beer when you're drinking it while you're eating.
Truly Italian in nature, the fact that the beverage is quite better served with food.
If food porn is your thing, you need to be friends with Tom on Facebook.
Oh, yeah? He gets kinky with the food?
We tend to go over the top sometimes with our pictures. I mean, because one of our good friends wrote a pizza book, a cookbook, and he's one of the more noted chefs in the area. He won the international pizza competition out in Las Vegas, and he's so funny because he came over for dinner a few nights ago and said, all them pictures you're taking with that pizza beer, are you really using pizza beer in there, or are you just putting water in there? And we just had to laugh. Like, we make this stuff, man. I got it in stock.
Yeah, it's good. Now,
pizza beer chicken and.
How do you go about selecting your spices and herbs? Do you have a certain proprietor you go with when you buy your stuff? Did you have, are you going through quite a bit, or do they just contract it straight when they make it at the brewery, or is that something you have your hands in?
No, actually, we have our hands in this thing 100% because it's our job to get the herbs and the spices and get up to the brewery, and it's our job to actually prep and measure and put the everything into according buckets, so to speak, for to put into the beer. And then, like I said, these days, when we do a pizza in the actual brew kettle, it's really just for fun in the mash, and we just have a little fun with it, make up a pizza, toss it in. We call it the official pizza toss.
Yeah,
it's for good luck.
So for fun, I'm sure you have a ton of fun with this beer and the topic. So what are the number one beers that people want you to make next? What do they ask for next? I want a Philly cheesesteak beer.
Yeah, no,
I want a sausage and pepper beer.
One was oatmeal raisin cookie.
Which one?
Oatmeal raisin cookie.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think about they do make a lot of dessert beers, and there's a lot of beers with raisin notes in it. But to make a beer that's actually oatmeal raisin cookie, that's a good one. Yeah.
But what I'm not looking for is an overly cloying sweet beer, because I think that when you have a dessert and you pair it with a beer, if you go with a beer that's a little less sweet, I think it brings more of the sweetness out in the food that you're eating. Where if you have a sweet beer,
sure,
I think the two of them kind of get a little confused on your tongue.
You've been reading some of Randy Mosher's books there, huh? I could say.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because you won't find any of those ingredients in Randy's book.
Oh, really?
Radical Brewing, none of the ingredients were in there. And so when we couldn't find anything about using basil, oregano, tomato, and garlic in beer, and we exhausted the internet, we saw garlic beers and all kinds of stuff, but the tomato beer was made in Japan, and no one told you how to cook with them.
George.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about tomatoes.
So I call my buddy Chris again, and he just laugh at me, the brewmaster up at Huber, and he's just like laughing. He says, "Man, you're nuts.
Yes.
Just you're a home brewer. You're not doing this for a living. Just make the beer and just write down and take real close notes, because if it's good, you might want to make it again."
Now, you were home brewing just for fun before you ever came up with this idea. You and a partner of yours, a buddy of yours. Is that where?
Yeah. We used to, open up the brewery out there. There's a bunch of pictures on our site and also on Facebook of our home brewery, and we just would make beers for fun. And then we started competition brewing, and we got the book Designing Great Beers, and because we were trying to hone in and figure out how to make different fun beers, and then we started making Belgian beers because they're so damn expensive.
Yeah.
So we were making saisons and doubles and triples and quadruples, and the Belgians, they're pretty creative when it comes to spices, and I don't know if it's just because they want to piss off the Germans. I don't know what but some of the best beers are
The place is a
Belgian.
real melting pot of all different people for many, many years, and kind of all came together. So we're trying the pizza beer with food now, and so anybody who doesn't have their mouth full, I haven't tried it yet. Want to give me their best opinion of how well it changes the food?
I don't have my mouth full yet.
I'm having it with Holly's vegetarian option with the beans. The bean
It's
burrito.
I basically did a black bean veggie burger, and I
you
smashed that
used
up with
the-
the pizza beer and
Okay.
the spice.
Now, did you use the pizza beer to cook with as well?
Yes.
Oh, see?
Yep.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Now, Tom, I don't know if you heard me before when I was talking, but I was cooking one night using a beer, of course. And I was just going to take a beer that I was going to make, a nice golden ale, possibly, and just steep basil in it. So that when next time I, make a nice batch of about a case or so, not much. So next time I want to cook with a beer, just make something Italian that I want, instead of throwing fresh basil in, I could have it in the beer. And I thought that was, this is a great idea. I had no idea you had the pizza beer. But, yeah, definitely something that at first when I thought pizza beer, it's for drinking, but then also Holly, just like Holly did here, and a lot of other people, I'm sure yourself, people use this to actually infuse into their food to make recipes with.
That's
correct?
what the directions say.
Yeah, I agree. Because like up here, probably we have a fan base of about 30% of the people because we sell a ton of it in Wisconsin. We're self-distributing up there.
Very good.
And so a lot of our customers up there will go, you know what? I really don't drink beer, or you know what? I'm not a real big fan, but man, this does really cool things when you cook with it. So they, rather than buying a $5 bottle of something full of soy sauce and MSG and other crap, they buy the pizza beer.
Yeah. It really does complement all the flavors. Now, she used it to make the meat, and then you drink it with the beer. And
Right.
together, they're very wonderful. They complement each other perfectly. Nice resonance in the two flavors. They're at the same strength levels and everything. And they really do. The alcohol is very light, but it cuts through the grease in the meat. And everything's really, really wonderfully based here. This is a great combination.
And she used the beer taco mix on this particular dish right now, and
It was
this has a little spice to it, and it actually works very, very well with the pizza beer that I'm picking up. Very, very nice.
I don't do well with spicy stuff, but this has the perfect amount of heat in that kit where you've got the residual or the lingering spice, and the pizza beer really cuts that, and it works really well. This is delicious.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I mean, actually, intern Dio just joined us, and I wanted give him a minute to give
He's
comments
assistant
on the
here.
beer.
The intern ran out on us for some reason.
The spice in the meat. As soon as you take a swig of the beer, it's like a perfect complement. It's like a perfect balance. I was like, this is amazing.
It's very interesting how they all work together, and it just basically brings out more flavors than you could ever definitely taste on your own of the two. They're better as the sum of their parts. Amazing.
One thing I wanted to give Tom a minute to talk about was I've seen him talk about on the Tonight Show maybe with Jay Leno that he's been mentioned in monologues, and
Right.
I wanted him to comment on that. And I know it's been a goal of his to be on the Tonight Show, and Jay Leno comes off early next year, so I'm not sure if that's gonna happen or not, Tom. But I wanted you to tell your story about that.
Open up.
Well,
yeah.
it was funny because
That's for the dip, and so are the chips.
one morning I wake up and go over to the gym to go play some racquetball, and all the guys are sitting there laughing and going, "Yeah, that was great last night." I'm like, what are you talking about? Jay Leno mentioned your beer, and I'm like, I missed it. So we had to wait for it to get on YouTube and saw it, and it was like, it was pretty funny. But we have the Tonight Show calls us to make sure like we're not like mad at him or anything like that. And I said, you know what? It's a compliment when you get anybody like that saying anything about your product. And at that time, that was 2007 when it was just a homebrew, and we really hadn't even been on the market yet. So we thought it was pretty cool that Jay Leno was mocking our beer, and we're just like two jamokes in a garage making pizza beer,
Yeah.
And now fast forward last year in February, he said the same joke, except instead of saying an Illinois couple, I think he said a Wisconsin couple, but it was the same exact joke. So like, I was hounding those guys. I'm like, come on, man. You've joked about us now twice, and are you afraid to have us on TV or something because it might be good? And so, they're not interested.
Oh, really? It'd be great to have you
They're
come
not-
out
I
with
mean,
the.
and I did wind up getting a response from Letterman because I'm thinking it'd be kind of cool to like toss pizzas off of the Ed Sullivan Theater into
Yeah.
a brew pot, you know?
Yeah.
So I tossed that idea out at them. They go, no, on Dave's show we don't do anything that's alcohol related.
Oh, okay. He's
Like,
probably
oh,
he's
come
a
on.
born again.
Yeah, it's gonna put
Mormon
my
or
pizza
something.
beer pizzas are gonna put him in remission or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's what
Probably.
it must be. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
I don't know.
I think it'd be great to see you come out in the Italian chef's outfit with the hat on the Jay Leno show with your pizza beer, and they can play the song. You know, you got the song right. You know, and you know, you got the.
That's Amore, right?
You know, you got the pizza in one hand, you got the pizza beer in the other, and you're out there, and you know you're pouring them for them, everything. They get the red checkerboard tablecloth, you know, and I think it would be perfect, actually. You know, those guys, but you know what? They wouldn't know good comedy if they fell over it. So
Yeah,
you know,
we think so too. I mean, I don't know if you've seen our bits when we've been on Fox. Fox has supported us quite a bit as well. They had us up there in Detroit. We made a visit up there. We made the pizza beer pizzas, and it was like bing bang boom. They were wowed by it, man. It's cool because when we make the pizza, we go cheese toppings and cheese and bake the pizzas white. And then when the pizza comes out of the oven, we take that pizza pasta pack that you've got over there, and we mix that with. I'm gonna plug these guys because I love their tomatoes. It's a company called Muir Glen, and they make a fire roasted crushed tomato that's just dynamite. But all you have to do is mix the spices in the tomatoes and mix it up with a spoon.
Oh, so
Almost as easy as the dip.
you have the pizza beer crust here too, which is a way to make pizza dough, right?
Right. You make your own. We have people. We sell a ton of those up here. I mean, that stuff is on. Like I said,
I'll
like
tell
the
you what.
tacos. That stuff. That was our staple. That was our first product. We used to go in the stores. We'd bring our little pizza oven and whip up pizzas right in a grocery store, like right on the spot, and sample the pizzas out with the pizza beer, and we'd sell the pizza beer and the pizza as a kit. You follow me?
I love
like
this.
I said, when we
Yeah.
make the pizzas, it's cheese, toppings, cheese. Don't bake your sauce into the crust
Right.
because it makes the crust soggy, especially if you've got a home oven that doesn't hit 800 degrees.
Exactly. Oh, so
Okay,
yeah,
so-
you just do the cheese and the crust. It's nice and crisp.
No, you're missing
No,
the point. You
no.
roll out your dough.
Right.
'Cause one of those packs will make 2 pizzas. So you roll
Okay.
it out, take your hot stone out of the oven,
Right.
put it on an oven mitt on the counter, put the raw dough on the stone,
Uh-huh.
cheese first,
Cheese first, okay.
right? Then your toppings, pepperonis, or
Right.
you know, zucchinis, whatever you want to toppings, and then more cheese on top of that.
Uh-huh.
And then you bake the pizza in the oven white.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then what you do is while that's baking, you get your can opener out. Again, I know it's a little harder than the sour cream to open up, but you got to use that can opener thing.
Right.
Crank that baby open, put the spices into the tomatoes.
Oh.
Now, when the pizza comes out of the oven all nice and bubbly, you take the at room temperature sauce and dollop it, drops, all over the top of the pizza.
Okay. I've seen people do that before.
And then cut it up and eat it. Again, because you get it more fresh, because canned tomatoes have already been cooked.
Right.
If you cook them again, you're going to ruin them, and I'm not going to throw sugar. I don't want spaghetti-o pizza.
Correct.
We want a real Italian-style pizza. And, in fact, a second friend of ours, who also happens to be an international Pizza Today pizza champion, has a restaurant on the West Coast, and he makes pizza beer crust pizzas and serves our pizza beer with his pizzas.
Wow.
And he's the one who taught us how to do that. Jason, we went into he had a pizzeria down here in Illinois, right around the corner from us, and it looked like one of those chains.
Yeah.
And so the liquor store next door was doing a tasting, and they invited us in to premiere our pizza beer back five and a half years ago. So we accepted, but said, can we get some pizza from this guy next door? How well you know him? And the lady goes, oh, he's a really nice guy. Go talk to him. So I walk in his shop and introduced ourselves, and he says, well, have you ever had my pizza? And we go, well, no. He goes, well, here, try it first. And we're like, wow, this is really good pizza. And then we told him who we were, and he goes, I was at a card game the other night, and some guy had your beer, and I fell in love with it.
Wow.
And I said to him, do you buy your dough or do you make it? And it's like, I really insulted him by asking if he bought his own dough. And he goes, I make it. So I went out in the car, I grabbed the 12-pack, put it on his counter. I said, make some of your dough with this beer and see what happens.
Now you pour the actual beer into the flour or to one of these packets to
Right,
make it?
8 ounces of beer. That's a 16-ounce bottle. So you
Right.
put 8 ounces in the dough, drink the rest, and then proceed.
Okay.
4 tablespoons of olive oil, mix it up by hand, flour your counter, roll them out, top them, bake them. I mean, it's like dinner in 25 minutes or less.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And we're trying to beat that Rachel Ray up, on time.
Yeah.
We got her in the tacos, so we're 5 minutes on the tacos.
We need to, excuse me. We need to talk about the pasta for a minute because this is excellent pasta.
Yeah.
There's an amazing spice component to it. Which kit is that, Holly, that you made that with?
That was what is it? The pizza and pasta sauce spice mix kit.
When we opened the container that she brought, Caesar is
I
several feet
smelled it
away.
off the bat.
He could smell it from like 4 feet away, which I can
Right.
never. My wife cooks pasta, and I could be standing right there and not smell it.
She didn't hear that. I
She's
promise.
not-
that.
she's
Come
not-
on.
But
It's a combination we use. I mean, we don't go cheap on anything. We're real fussy on what we put into our product because we want people to do like you just did, be wowed. And we get all of our garlic from California. We don't buy anything from China.
Good.
We stick with the
Let me get-
California stuff.
Let me guess, you get it from Salinas, California, the garlic capital of the world. Right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They have the
I mean,
biggest
that's
garlic
in fact,
festival in the world.
we get our garlic for the beer out of Gilroy.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, with the pizza pasta pack, the basil's from Egypt, and it's just a super high quality product. And it's all. I mean, that's all it is high quality basil with garlic. I mean, we used to go to the stores again and tell people, okay, to make the sauce, use a couple tablespoons of basil and get some garlic powder out and make it up. And then they come back to the demo and go, let me taste your pizza again.
it's definitely
My
the
sauce just
basil.
didn't taste that good.
It's definitely the basil I'm getting. I don't know if is basil not used in commercial, sauce normally. I don't think I've ever really gotten a lot of
Basil's used.
basil. But it must
Basil's
be
used.
it must be the difference in the quality because I just
it's
don't
quality.
get. Yeah, it's
It's
amazing.
Right, and that's what it is. It's fresh stuff. I mean, we're not buying stuff that's been sitting in someone's warehouse for a year, and it's all fresh, but it's all like super really good.
Yeah.
Like I want to eat this. A lot of
Real
it's good.
So talk to me about the brainstorm, the idea. Did you think that someone hadn't done it before? Did you think I wonder if anybody's made a pizza beer before, or can this really work?
Well,
know?
that's again. You got to remember, this was not supposed to happen
Right.
because we had jobs.
Right, but
And
when you did
we
realize
searched the
it,
internet, and like I said, that's why we looked at Mosher's book and stuff, and we were using every resource we had, and including my buddy up in Wisconsin, to try to consult on this little silly project. And my wife and I said to each other, you know what, if this is really good, we better remember how to make it. So
Well-
we called my friend Warren up and just said, why don't you come down? We're going to make the pizza beer now, and I want you to kind of watch and see what we put in. And then we took the oregano that we used. I took my hand and put it on a piece of paper and drew an outline of it because, I mean, I'm not in the market to have a scale that measures grams in my house. So,
I got one of those scales.
yeah, I bet
so
you
you,
do.
so,
Oh,
you, so you
boy.
just made a circle with your hand, and that's how much oregano to use. Just fill it up.
Right. So we just kind of wrote down how many cloves of garlic we used, and then just documented the process. And ordinarily, the way that I used to always make beer was just the way that I cook, and it's just a little bit of this, a little
Yeah.
bit of that. Yeah, who the hell cares? I'm never going to have to make money on this stuff anyway. This is for me
Right.
and to share with my friends, and it's fun beer. But this one was a little bit different because it was like pizza beer, and no one had ever done it. So we figured that if it turned out pretty good, maybe we would, someday make it. And, it just so happens that, like I said, the bottom fell out on the market.
Yeah.
Payton's was willing to make a pilot batch for us, and we were supposed to enter it into the Great American Beer Festival.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the notes.
And that backfired because everyone drank it all.
Really?
Yeah, and then at that point, we decided that if we had to make another batch with him, that it may become their property, intellectual property, because they brewed it, not us. And so the attorney we were working with at the time said, just walk away, try to find someone else to make the beer. And like I said, we went up to upstate New York and visited all the breweries up there. And like I said, we had a handshake deal with one of the guys, and it fell through. But Randy Sprecher was right there, the home guy, not even thinking this guy's just right up the road. you know, and it was perfect because we didn't have enough money to buy 6-pack holders or 4-pack holders.
Right. Well,
That's why you see the single bottles, because
okay.
Sprecher didn't make bombers, so we couldn't make a 22-ouncer, right?
Right.
But they had this 16-ounce root beer bottle, and my wife and I are going, if we can
Nice
keep this
bottle.
priced right, people might just try it just because it's fun.
Yeah, I
And
believe,
that's what's happening. And now all of a sudden we're getting, as someone here in Illinois, it's kind of a thorn in our side because we don't have a major distributor out here. We got a little guy down 2 hours south of here that when we're making a batch of beer and we got overrun, we self-distribute in Wisconsin, so we'll take and make all of our hits and runs and drop off the beer in Wisconsin, and the leftovers, we've got to get it delivered real quick. And usually there's only a handful, like 10 or 12 cases available for Illinois, and we get people going, I'm in Chicago. Where can I get your beer? I said, well, you got to drive like 50 miles west. There's this grocery store called Woodman's that has a stack of it over there, and we keep it filled.
yeah. Well, it's
But-
like I
But
said,
Total Wine and More has a big, big compliment to us, and we want to really reach out and tell you guys and Ed that we appreciate you guys having the faith in us to bring this crazy beer in.
Well, now that I'm actually
Crazy.
trying the beer and the food, I think I made the right decision for sure.
I'll say.
Well, that's what Athena and I were talking about. I shouldn't call her Athena. It's Mamma Mia. She's watching our grandson right now. By the way, we had a last minute. She had to have a last minute cancellation because my daughter needed someone to watch the baby, and he's a riot. So she's out there playing with him in the little pool right now with the cat.
well, it's so many things I love
it'd be
about
nice
this.
to get down to Florida and then maybe even have an opportunity to do some of those type of cooking demos.
Please do.
Well, you know-
we have the South Beach Food and Wine Festival down here, so you can come down for that.
Yeah,
Well,
it'll be
like you
fun.
said, it takes money to make money, and right now we're a couple people that if we got a sponsor to do something like that, certainly we could afford to do that. But to up and go and from our day-to-day operations, it's very difficult for us to do that. And we're seeking some venture capital, possibly, or trying to find some people that have that share the same passion we do, because certainly we don't want to just jump into the Shark Tank and have anybody be your partner.
Yeah, well, there's a number of things I love about this. First of all, you took two of the best things in the world, pizza and beer, and you put them together.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So that's first thing, and then second of all, Wisconsin is God's country, and you guys, it's beer country. I mean, that's pretty much where beer was practically invented. So that's another act of God up there. It's amazing. And the fact of the matter is that this thing, this crazy little idea of yours is just silly enough to work. And
Well,
I think
it cracks me up because you see us featured in all these top 10 strangest beers, and all the other breweries up there, they're all millionaires.
Yeah.
And here we are, just like two people.
yeah. No, it's very cool.
That's the truth. We're just two people, and
Which brings me to
never
the
would have
last part.
expected to see an advertisement for our beer in China.
Yeah.
And it's a riot. I mean, I know you've seen some of the stuff I've been posting, and I can't wait to see it, in Israel and see what what's the language over there again? Here, help me out.
Hebrew.
Hebrew.
Now let me ask you, is your beer kosher?
No.
Okay, so
It could be.
could it be?
You know
though?
what? No, we're not going to go with that one. I'll talk to you guys on that one on the side.
Okay, sorry. You need to come up with the legal
it's
gray
real
area.
expensive to do
Stick your
that.
lawyer on me.
No, we actually had I've talked to Rabbi Sharp out here at the Chicago Rabbinical Council because he really wants to give it his blessing. But it's just, again, the affordability to be able to do that is
Yeah.
very expensive to have that designation. But he and I had a lengthy discussion over whether or not, it was kosher or not. And he said because everything that we're using is fresh and grown out of the ground, the malt, the wheat, the vegetables, all that stuff, is that that stuff is naturally kosher. So really you just need to have the rabbi's blessing at this point. So, we know that what we're using is good stuff. So that's good enough for us for now.
Fantastic. I wish you all the best of luck. And so, how many states? I know you can get you in China and Israel and everything. We get you in Florida and up around the Midwest and everything. How about New York, California on your sites? Are you already there? Or
Well, we were in California. The beer distributor we were using there decided to focus his his eyes on spirits. So he kind of dropped off. So my buddy Frankie, who's sitting out in California, has probably another 10 cases of pizza beer before he goes nuts and starts strangling a distributor to carry our beer out there.
It can be
We're
tough.
selling it in New York. Hottest state right now is New Jersey. They just did a reorder not too long ago, but we're on fire in New Jersey. We've got
Let me guess,
a
the
couple
Jersey
guys.
Shore.
A guy named Gary Monterosso. He's a big-time speaker. He's been showing our beer off at like the Philly Beer and Wine Show. I know he's got some special events coming up here where he'll be highlighting the beer as well. We're also just moved into northern Indiana and in Michigan as well. And again, Illinois, our home state right here, we're a little, it's sporadic. But we just got a commitment from a downstate guy to buy a bunch of it, so I have a feeling we're going to kind of make a resurgence out here. But like I said, Wisconsin was kind of weird because we got this letter from the state of Wisconsin saying, we understand you make pizza beer in Wisconsin. And because you make pizza beer in Wisconsin, you need to register your company in Wisconsin and pay the tax.
Ooh.
We're going, oh, good, huh?
Yeah.
How much is that? They go, $20. So they go, okay, cool, we can do that. And what else? They go, well, you got to buy a $1,000 surety bond. Well, how much is that? They go, well, about $100. Well, okay, we can do that. And they said, by the way, congratulations, you can sell your own beer in Wisconsin now because you are a Wisconsin brewer officially.
Yep.
And my wife and I just looked at each other because we had an experience with a guy up there that, he got the beer out and did a really good job getting initial placement, and then started sticking his hand out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Marketing dollars. You want this kind of placement?
There you go. Yeah.
You want this kind of placement? You got to, you got to pay to play. And it's like, no.
No shortage of snakes in the grass out there. Definitely.
Oh, and that's one of the things we respect about Total Wine and more. Because it's a big company. I mean,
Yep.
I didn't know how big they were until,
big.
we started really scanning and looking and going, man, these guys are big. And, when we sold out in California, they sold our brand out there and did well with it.
Yeah.
But never asked us, never came back to us and said, hey, Tom and Athena, can we squeeze a few more quarters out of you? You look
Right.
like you're getting fat. Maybe you're eating too much, and we need the money instead of you.
Yeah. Well, Tom, I got to tell you, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, Mr. Tom Seaforth. Mamma Mia's Pizza Beer. It's an American success story. We wish you all the best. Everybody in Florida is going to run out and buy it. And just absolute grand slam. I love it. What do you guys think?
It's amazing stuff.
Awesome job.
Yeah, great
Tom.
beer and
Easy.
even better with the food.
Easy
Thanks so
food
much.
kits.
Thanks so much for being on Buy the Glass Show. Everybody's going to run out to Total Wine and buy his great products.
Well, and they can buy our food stuff online from us, too, by the
Shoot
way.
us the email.
$15 or
What's
more, you get free shipping. And that's
I
not
will
advertising.
say the food kits were very simple. It took me 20 minutes to make 4 different food kits.
Fantastic. You want to plug your website?
Pizzabeer.net.
Pizzabeer.net, everybody. Go check him out, Mr. Tom Seaforth.
Cool.
All right, buddy. Take care now. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you, Tom.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome. As we roll out here, I like to say, as you drink our pizza beer, do not to overconsume. Never drink under 21. We don't drink when pregnant. We never drink and drive. And everybody, please enjoy your pizza and your beer responsibly going forward. As we are sliding on out into the twilight here, I believe we have an IPA that we want to talk a little bit about. Kentucky IPA, which was on, we did the Kentucky bourbon from Kentucky. We had the what was the gentleman's name who called in on that show?
Pierce Lyons, Dr. Pierce Lyons.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Great guy.
And so we're continuing on with this line of his beautiful Kentucky bourbon beers. This one is a Kentucky IPA.
It is. It is not bourbon barrel
Not
aged.
bourbon
It's
barrel
just
aged.
a classic American IPA, very light in body, very piney.
Yeah.
You get a good amount of like
Lot
that
of
hop
resin.
resin in there.
Yeah.
Very piney, very sessionable, 6.5%. Also new down here in the state of Florida. New beer to try out, guys. So
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Really
nice
clean, yeah.
aromatics.
Yeah.
What's
very
the ABV on the
6.5.
6.5. Thank you so much to everybody, Mr. Tom Seaforth. We got Holly Blankney.
Oh,
Blank
you
me.
butchered it.
It wasn't hard to do.
Blakeney.
Blankney. I call you Blackney?
Yes.
Oh, it's like an Indian
What's
name.
new?
Blackney. Ooh, cometh with
You can
food.
see her
Yeah.
at Funky Buddha.
Okay, let's hear it, Funky Buddha. Okay, let's hear it, Funky
When?
Buddha. Definitely. Thank you so much,
When
Cesar
can we
Vasquez
see her
from-
at Funky Buddha?
Cesar
Saturday night.
Vasquez from coming in with the pizza beer. Ed Roberts, thank you so much. Thanks so much, Intro Dio, and crazy, Ivan Bad on the board. It's been a
Thank
wonderful
you.
show. You guys have a great evening. Be safe. We'll see you next week, Thursday at 6. Love you. Good night.
SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com.